a recent encounter, experience, besides our guest? Yeah, okay. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Russell. And Russell, it's the R&R show.
That's right. That's right. That's in fact the name of this video, although for some reason it changed it back to UFO and Sasquatch connection. I don't understand that. But anyway, yeah, so I'm Russell Wheeler. You might remember me from a month ago. I certainly know, a few of you. I even know you by your name now.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so this is my friend Russell Wilson, and not the quarterback, as you can see. So we've known each other for over 30 years. And it's kind of interesting, I was just telling someone about that, but we knew each other for like over 20, and my dad finally says, did you know your ancestors worked together on a plank road between Nacelle and the Columbia River? No, and there was like only 3. That worked. 2 of my relatives and 1 of yours are the opposite. I can't remember, but I think it was 2 of mine and 1 of yours, but I'm not sure. But anyway, that was interesting. Way back, 150 years ago, whatever it was. But anyway, so he's the one that got me interested. We're out walking, and it's funny because we knew each other for years before that, but he never told me about his sighting of a Sasquatch. It's funny how we have this cultural denial thing and we keep it under the wraps. We always keep it under my next door neighbor denied it for years until his wife saw one next to my house, and now all of a sudden he's talking about a Sasquatch sighting. Really? He always said, well, you never know, when I told him a story. And it's like, but you did know. You saw one. Oh yeah, there's that. But anyway, so, now I lost my place. But anyway, so he's the one that, it was in 2007, we're walking, and he mentioned this family that had seen a Sasquatch, and asked me, did you hear about that? And sure, no. And my next thing out of my mouth was, you want to go looking for Bigfoot? And of course he said yes, because he's that way. And so we started looking for Sasquatch together, and it's been off and on, but lately, this last year, it's really been on, and we're going to show a movie after he gets through talking and gets us up to 2024. Then we're gonna show you a movie and talk about what we just have seen in the last few months and experienced. And Russell Wilson.
Russell.
But anyway,
I get that.
Russell Wilson.
I got cheat notes, but yeah, I'm just going to tell the stories that didn't have anything to do with him, and then he's going to probably want to talk. But anyway, when I was a kid, I used to, the only Sasquatch stuff you got to see was like every few times on the TV, the 3 channels we had, and library books, and that was it, But I didn't think anything was ever going to happen, and I was never told about it. But behind where we lived in Pacific County, my cousin had gone up into the woods, because we lived in the woods, and broke something, and she said that a monkey had walked up to help her and stuff like that, and then who knows? That's not really my story either, though. But let's see. We used to play like we were friends with Sasquatches a lot when I was a kid. Me and my other friend, and we used to have different names for them and stuff like this. It's also just not really anything. It was just when we were kids, it was a Sasquatch thing. But then let's see. There was the first time, it was a fair, and it was a full moon that night, and my friend, who got done working with his cows, and this girl and me, we went up to this place called the Top of the World, where you can see Mount Rainier, and they stayed in the truck, and then I went up to look at the mountain, because it was a full moon, you could see it, because you really couldn't see the mountain anywhere. I mean, where I live now, I can go outside, and it's right there, but anyway, the girl came running up to me, it was dark, and she said, he's afraid, he's in the truck. And I go, why? And he goes, there's something on 2 feet, she said, and it's coming up this way. And I'm, how would you know it's on 2 feet? It's dark. I go, look at the mountain. And the second I said that, something really big came running right up to me. And it was on 2 feet, but the blackberry bush is here, up to here, so it was running right through that. And I could have just went like this and looked at it, but instead I grabbed her and took her down the cliff when we got in the truck and left. And then when we were driving away, they thought, what if that was Bigfoot or something? And it just still didn't really seem like there was any way you'd ever see one or hear anything. And would it happen here? And was there only one? Because there was no computer back then. There was no internet. There's no way to find out anything. Who do you tell? Then I was a high schooler and I had a girlfriend, and we lived in in the woods, and there was a reload road, and the reload road went from our house to, it's from the logging road, so the logging trucks go on it, and then that's how they get to the highway. And I was in a white truck, and it was dark, and I was taking off, and I was getting to almost the highway, and then Sasquatch, it was black with gray inside its hair, crossed in front of my truck. And then I stopped, and then it turned like this, and it put its hand on the side of the window of my truck, and it was like huge, and then pressed it against the window, and then kept going. And then I'm like, what do you do with that? It's like you can't jump out and go, wait, what's wrong? or anything, because there's nobody to tell. So when I went and I told my girlfriend, I said, I think I saw Bigfoot tonight. And she goes, oh, that's cool. Well, this is what we're having for dinner tonight. And it never came up again. Because there's nobody to call, there's nobody to tell you. I'm just a high school kid, So, but I remember it clearly, seeing it, and it was like, so I thought, well, that'll probably be but again, it's just something you forget about because you think, well, I'll certainly never see it or hear it again, but that's not true. So anyway, okay, then the next time was years later. I was in a band. I don't know if he was at that one, but there was a New Year's show, and for some reason we weren't allowed to drink beer. They gave us caffeine drinks, so we were drinking a lot of those Red Bulls all night long, and we were staying wide awake, and New Year's was over with, and blah, blah, blah. The band
I was there. I played. That was, Cameron Ross was there too. He was a drummer.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, well, anyway.
Cameron Ross was a roadie for Nirvana for 7 years. Best friends with Kurt.
Yeah, which has nothing to do with
No.
the story at all. That's not the rock and roll story, that's a different one. We'll get to that one. But anyway, we've been drinking caffeine drinks, and we're wide awake, me and my wife at the time, and we were driving through Raymond, because, I think we lived there then, and then she's like, I'm wide awake, I don't know what to do. Do you want to go to Long Beach or do you want to go to Chehalis? I go, let's go to Chehalis. So we took a turn, and we went all the way around to where Rainbow Falls is, and way past Rainbow Falls. Well, we've been drinking energy drinks all night, which it sounds like I am now, but I just want to get all these stories done before he starts talking. She had to go to the bathroom, so we pulled off along the road where there's no people or anything like that, and I was just getting everything situated, and I was going to go out and go out to the bathroom too, because I didn't want to interrupt whatever she was doing. She jumps in the car and she's still going, and she's going, go! And I'm just like, what are you doing? What is going on? She goes, there's something out there, and you just go. And I'm just like, I gotta go now, So I went out, but it was like, and I've had other people go, it was a cougar. It's like, I know cougar. That was not a cougar, but it was like this long scream, and it just continued on. It never took a breath, and it was like a woman being tortured. And it was like that. It was horrible. And she's like, "What are you doing?" From the car this time, because I'm still just trying to figure this out. I'm like, "What is going on?" I'm waiting for somebody to yell help or something. But it was just like this horrible scream, and it never stopped. And then finally, like, okay. So we went and we found a cop and told him that something was going on down there, but we're not going back with you. I said, "You've got to go see whatever this is." And that's not much of a story either, I know. But eventually, later on, it'll catch back up, because when I was with him and heard the mail, then I knew what that was. But anyway, I can look at my notes because I don't want to forget.
Yeah, the other thing is when the sustain. We've heard him scream for 12 seconds. Okay, a cougar's not going to do that. Not for 12 seconds, not like that, and fill the whole valley.
Mhm.
Yikes.
And then another time I was with another friend of mine, and we used to drive in logging roads a lot, and we were driving, and I saw a Sasquatch. It was it had black hair, and it was taken off, and I could see while it was running, the bottom of its feet was kind of white, but it went down this hill, and you know how you always want to say, you know, hey, I see a Sasquatch right there, but I knew that he was going to want to go try to find it, and that's completely impossible, so I just never said anything. So that's another time I saw one, but I remember thinking, oh, that's interesting, you know, that the bottom of its feet that I saw it was running away. That's I know, these stories are kind of short, I guess. I thought that.
So was it a really big foot?
That's okay, we're
Really
gonna fill
big
the time.
foot?
Yeah.
No
We really do
worries.
have.
But it was down below on the logging road, and it was
Yeah.
running
Yeah.
and stuff, but I remembered it had black hair. Because I've seen a lot of different colors, which is another story I'm going to get to that's a lot better. I might use the F word a few times, just so you know. Can I do that?
We're adults.
All right, okay. But it's only so you know exactly what happened. If you say that word, then it's probably not going to be the same kind of story, but because I like to swear. Not right now, not all the time. It is one of my favorite words.
Okay.
So another time, same friend. I'm already skipping the part where I met him just because I want to get all my stories out that didn't have anything to do with him. But anyway, me and him had been seeing him, and me and my friend were in this graveyard, and in this area we were at, it was like calling out to me, and my friend's like, "What is that?" And I knew what it was, but it's not like I go, "Oh, let me explain to you what that is." I don't know, but it's communicating with me, but you can't do that because nobody, a lot of people don't believe this stuff, but so that was another time when something was weird, but it was because me and him had did something there, and I got a lot of stories about him. That's why I'm trying to hold those off until I get through the ones that didn't. But okay, so my dad never really talked about Sasquatch very much, and because when me and him met, we had so many stories. And my mom goes, "What happened this week? What did you do this week?" And then I would tell her, and my dad would stay quiet and everything. But he would go hunting every year, and I was a rock star person, so I didn't really get invited much to the hunt and stuff, which is fine. But anyway, this one year they went, and it was snowing, and my brother, my dad's brother, and somebody else, they all went, and they had gone to a spot in the snow where they saw these huge tracks.
This was at Bonaparte Lake, right?
Bonaparte Lake, yeah, it was outside of Bonaparte Lake, which is, yeah, anyway, it had, they could see where the steps, where it had walked and got next to the water, and it leaned down and drank some water, and then my dad's brother, both of them aren't alive now, but my dad's brother said, "I have a gun that can kill an elephant right now, but whatever that is scaring me. We need to get out of here," because they saw that it wasn't normal. So my dad told that story, so then I finally had something that my dad said, and then they took me the next year, and it was all kind of, they were all kind of like asking me questions and what did I know, and then I would kind of tell them, because I'm not as excited about Sasquatch as he is, but I have a lot of stories and stuff, but anyway, my brother said, what do you do to get it, to get their attention? And I was saying, well, you make these calls or whatever, and they always usually seem to respond. So we were out in the woods hunting, and then we made a call, and we heard something talking. It was kind of like a different language, and it was a male, but it wasn't like anything where you're going, "That's definitely a Sasquatch," because you don't really know sometimes when you're in an area you're not used to. But the best part is that night, one of my cousins had a deer, and it was hanging from a tree right next to our tent, and our tent was here, and I was on this side of the tent, my brother was on this side of the tent, my dad was in the back. And it was a kind of a full moon again, and I was laying there, and by this time there's a lot of stories I haven't mentioned yet because I haven't talked about him yet. But I'd seen him enough time to where I know they exist. It's not like a surprise, but but I saw the shadow of it because the moon was hitting it, and I could see the cone head and everything, and it got up next to my brother's face, and I was just watching because I just thought, it wasn't a big deal because I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was thinking about the deer that was hanging in the tree because I knew that they eat meat sometimes, I guess, but I never seen one doing it, but that's what I was thinking, and it crossed, and it went past my dad, and then it got to my side of the bed, the cot that I had, to where it was like on the other side of the tent with me, and it was huffing. It was the one. And by this time, I've been tired of all the questions and everything, and I said, get the fuck out of here, And then and we walked to the back of the tent, and then it got to where it was starting to get towards my dad and getting close to him, and my dad kicked it in the balls. And so this is late at night, and I don't want to wake anybody up because I don't want them to see this thing with the big cone head that's out there. And then we got up in the morning, and I told my brother, he goes, look, this is what happened. And this Sasquatch thing came over next to the tent, and it didn't touch the deer at all or anything like that. My dad goes, I kicked it in the balls. I go, I know. But I go, let's do this. Let's find out, did it leave a track? Because you kicked it in the balls, so it had to have went. I heard it go, like that, which I know it sounds like a fake story, but it's not. But anyway, we pulled the tent back, and sure as hell, there's a big giant footprint with toes and everything, right where he kicked it in the balls. And but at this point, I've got all these cousins that are, that nobody's ever really seen one before, So my dad goes, oh, that was my cousin. That was your cousins, They made this story up and didn't really happen. I just let it go. I thought, okay. So there was another time when didn't get a track or a picture of it or anything. I wish I would at least did that, but.
You're hanging out with the wrong people.
Well, I'm just like a lot of people, don't even, never seen one before, and you can't really, but.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so, let's see, okay, so, it's another swear word. I went to Cleellum to stay at a cabin my friends had, and, they were all sleeping, and when I got out in the morning, I decided to take a hike, and I, came up to this log it was a big log. So normally when you're walking through the woods, you'd stay on a trail or something like that. So I walked across this log. When I got to the end of the log, there was a Sasquatch laying with its nose against the log, just down below where I was on top of the log. And the first thing that surprised me wasn't that it was a Sasquatch, but it was a dirty blonde hair. And I thought. And my first thought was, that's not right, because they're usually black, brown, and maybe red, but I've never heard of this, Well, it stood up, and this was the biggest one I ever seen, because a lot of times they're like taller than me, but not, this one was like, probably like 11 feet, but and it stretched, and I thought, then the next thought in my mind was, a lot of people would run away right now, or something like that, and I said, but I just looked at it and I said, I'm coming after you, motherfucker, I said, and then I took off after it because I figured if I could get to it, I'd grab onto the hair of it, and I didn't care what it did to me because when are you going to get another chance like this? And I'm fast. I know that Moneymaker tried that and they made fun. But anyway, I took off running after it, and it just turned, and it didn't have to run because the top of its legs were up to here, but it walked away, and it just was like, I was sprinting at it and I couldn't get it, and it just like walked slowly into the trees and disappeared, and I just was standing there going, wow, it's like, so that's how they, I was like, that's how they get away, but it wasn't like, nothing. See, and then another time, my cousin lives down in Oysterville, and I was driving my car, and it was Leadbitter Point. There's a bird sanctuary, and this is during the day. I was driving, and a gorilla walks in front of the car, which I know that sounds, but at the time this is what was going through my head, and it was kind of gray, and it had the pointed head, and it stopped, so I stopped the car, and then it kept walking, and it jumped way up, like above the ceiling even, to get into the bushes, And I thought, I don't think gorillas get that big around here, you know, because there is no gorilla. But then I called him. Now that's all the stories without him. Then, now I'll tell you some with him. But when we first met, he had, let's see, me and him had found a track that was down this steep hill. He goes, you want to do that? And I go, yeah, let's do that. We weren't looking for Sasquatch then. I don't think we were.
No, we were.
Were we?
Yeah.
But it had been 4 years of nothing, where we went up and tried everything, and we went down below, and me and him are looking around, but there's this one spot inside the water too, so you're like, some people might go, well, I don't know, that could have been anything, you know, but it was a clear footprint with toes and everything, and me and him were like, wow, you know, and at that time we're like, this is the only thing we're ever gonna see, you know, but so that, you know, but that
Then
was,
we tried to follow the tracks, and there were like a couple others roughed up though.
Yeah.
You know, it was the sod just was messed up where you could see it walked up the hill a little bit.
but this one place, there was a guy that, the road had been closed for 3 years, and he was a hunter, and you can look his story up, whoever he is, but he had went up that road and ran into one, and it had a language, and that was the story. It's like, oh, they have a language, you know, and then me and him figured out about where it was at, so that's the spot that we went to, and what I remember, because I remember we went up and before we got to the spot where we thought you know, was the main spot, we were stopping along the way, and we'd stopped and seen, I'd seen where there were big tracks coming up to that spot, and then, but when we went in there, we were looking around for stuff, and there was this log that had been smashed, kind of like by a foot, it seemed like, and I go, that's not normal, you know, and he goes, oh, anybody can do that, and I go ahead, you know, and then, so he tried to do it, and then we realized this is something big.
Yeah, I thought the
special.
log was punky enough that it was going to give way under my foot, but it wasn't.
Yeah, and then there was a hole where this other big log had been, and it had been thrown, which at the same time isn't the greatest Sasquatch story of all time, but this was the very beginning of where the spot where we saw him all the time was. But we went down to this spot, and there's a place where there's only one road, and then there's a place to camp with a fire pit, and that's where we went. And we tried everything, because we had a game camera where we thought, oh, well, we had some pretty creepy stories. Oh no, some stories to get them to go to that. One of them was a Kentucky Fried Chicken box, but that's not that creepy. But you know, in front of the camera, and nothing worked. And then after a while, we just thought, it's not, you know, maybe, you know, what are we trying to get their picture for? We're not tricking them at all. And then we did this other thing where he would play the guitar and sing, and I'm a singer, but I was a listener, so I was the one that would always wanted to see what was going on. And it wasn't long at all, but so at dusk, the females would come up with the kids, and they'd be like from me to you, but there was trees right there.
There was a berm. There was
Yeah.
a little berm and some small trees.
But me and him had to have an understanding that no matter what happened in that spot where they were watching, we would never go into the territory they were trying to hide from. And but you could hear the moms talking to the kids, and the kids were playing. And one time he was playing guitar, and I don't think he got to say this when he was talking, but when he stopped, it went, oh.
I was putting my guitar away. That's the first clue I had that they liked it, because I was putting my guitar, and it sounded like a 10-year-old girl right over my left shoulder.
Yeah.
She was really close. And she
Yeah.
went, oh. I went, wow.
And that's a great story, but it happened more than once where it kept doing this side thing, and then so that. But the same things were happening when we ended up coming back and forth. I mean, I'm leaving some stories out, but every time we came, something would happen. And at some point, I hear that they have a tone that they use where you know that they're watching you or something, and they use that to steal people's food, is what some Indian people told me. I don't know that, but when we would be somewhere and he'd be showing me a new spot, I'd be like, they're here, and then not long after that, there'd be some kind of noise like babies crying out in the middle of nowhere, you know, and talking, we.
I think they also have a vibration they give out because we got real calm. I felt really comfortable and calm when I was out there with my guitar. You know, it just felt like I was playing my guitar for my family, you know, just an ambiance. And I'm not, I think they do something for that they created that.
Yeah.
Infrasound.
Yeah, some sort.
Yeah, I don't really have any more F-word stories, but there was another time, because now by this time, even though I haven't told like all the hundreds of stories with him, to me, it just was getting kind of tired of it. But I mean, you know, just like, I don't know, but we went to this one area, because we would go out in the woods all the time, and there was one behind a tree, and it kept poking its head back behind the tree and then back again. And then I'm sitting there, and I jumped out, and I go, "What the fuck are you doing?" It's like, "I know you're there. You know we know you're there." And it's like, "This is stupid," you know. It's like, and then he's like, "What are you doing?" And I go, "I'm just as bored." He goes, "How can this be boring?" And I'm just like, "I don't know." It's like it's right there. It's like you know, it's not like we're gonna go, "Oh no, there's a Sasquatch talking to me," you know, because by this time it happened so many times. We'd seen it so many times because I'd seen when I've been with him, I've seen a white one. I've seen all kinds of things, but pretty much that's all the stories I've got without him. And then he's got a video and stuff. But recently, yeah, we've seen some stuff. But
Yeah.
you probably want to talk to that. And then I'm just gonna drink some coffee. But not that I don't have more. I do have a lot more stories, but I didn't write them down. But anyway, thank you.
Awesome.
Must have turned off.
I love your delivery.
Was it the F word?
And no, not that, but I love the vibration that you create. And truly, when you are out there with them, they're feeding off your vibration, or you're feeding off.
They love him. I'll
They
tell you
love
what,
him,
when we get together,
Yeah,
I mean, it's almost unstoppable.
yeah,
Something happens practically every single time. It's crazy.
yeah,
I know, 'cause you want-
alone, it's once in a while, you know?
right.
Because we just joke about, you know, I wish we could not find one, you know, once in a while, but I only say that because it happens so much, and it's normal stuff to me. Like, there's a time that they had heard a Sasquatch, and they wanted me and him to come and find it, and we went in there and he did his call, and we're just sitting there, and it called back really loud, and then me and him go, "Okay," and we're just walking back to our car, and I go, "No, somebody else right now, this would be the 8th wonder of the world, the craziest thing I've ever seen," but it's just a normal day for me and him, and we just got in the car and went, probably, you
I just
know.
looked at him, I said, "Yep, they're right, they're here." And we're back.
But everybody, you know, it's on the news, "Well, I think I saw a Sasquatch today," you know, but it's just like, oh, but, you know, but.
Well, you're
I don't
right,
know.
it's your vibration.
Yeah.
You bring this, you have this heightened vibration, and it seems like it's with you all the time, and when you're out there, they know that.
I don't know, yeah, like I said.
Yeah, I love that it's just another normal day for you, because a lot of us wish that was true.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta tell this story. I might miss it, so I'm gonna tell it now.
Okay,
This was just about
I think we got a lot.
5 days ago or so, and you know, we've had this string, like every time we're together, of hearing them and seeing prints, and it's just crazy. And I'm thinking to myself out loud, you know, I was walking around my living room, and I grabbed my iPad, and I'm gonna look at my iPad, but I put it on the couch, and I turned the TV on just to see what's going on real quick, the news, and it comes on, I start hearing these Sasquatch screams. And I'm looking at the TV and I'm going, "What?" And I hit the mute button and I still hear them. Oh, it's my iPad. What are they doing on my iPad? I turn it over, and one of my postings from YouTube is playing. Well, I never play my postings on my iPad. I don't do that. And to get to that, you'd have to turn it on, enter the 6-digit code, go to Facebook, then go to my Facebook, then find that particular one and play it. 6 steps I counted. 6 steps. And it was like that. It was instant. So I don't know how they do these things, but they're clever. and they're amazing. But anyway, so here,
But another thing I wanted to say is, even though they're Sasquatches and people believe what they want about them, they still make mistakes once in a while.
That's true.
And you get to see one. Now one thing I tell people all the time, and if you take a stick and you hit a tree 3 times, just listen. And if all you hear is when they react to that, where they not hit it back, just accept that as you've had something with them, and eventually more stuff I think will probably happen with. And I'm not trying to start a Sasquatch cult or anything, but I'm just saying they.
Oh, there already is one.
I'm just thinking, I don't know why they do the thing, because like even when he was talking about the finding Bigfoot and the screaming thing, I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. He goes, well, I'm going to make this call, and when I scream out there, they'll respond, and I'm just like, you're going to do what? And he goes, yeah, I got this call. And he did the scream, with the screaming like they did. And I thought I was laughing, but as soon as he got done doing it, they called back.
not as soon.
Well, yeah, but
About
it always
5
takes a
minutes,
little bit. Yeah, that's
but
true.
when I called, the coyotes started calling. They started making a racket.
Yeah.
Then he called, and everything in that valley went
Quiet.
quiet.
Yeah.
And that's a big valley. It was like, wow. I turned to him and I said, okay, I'm 110% believer now.
Yeah.
Because up to that point, I wasn't
Right.
sure. Even though I'd heard knocks, smelled,
And we
I just
never brought a gun.
holding
I
on
know
to my
that some
skepticism.
people probably need a gun for whatever, but
Yeah.
I don't feel and for us or whatever, I'm not afraid of.
No, I
any
carry
other
bear mace,
animals
but it's
out
not for
there.
them,
Yeah.
I had a close call with a cougar not too long ago. That's why I carry it. It was me and the cougar.
Yeah.
I heard them just before I had an encounter with the cougar, and they were way off in the distance. I think they were warning me. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, I had a funny feeling before I went down there. I had a sharp, just real sharp adrenaline rush, which is really weird, as I got out of the car. I mean, what? I do this all the time, but that time I got this little adrenaline rush. And then, sure enough, I come on a fresh cougar kill. But anyway, talking about that iPad again, I think the thing is they heard me thinking about, because what I was thinking is, but I'd like to hear them every 5 minutes. That's what I was thinking. Okay, well, if you want to hear us every 5 minutes, look up one of your postings. Play it and listen. I think that was the joke.
And
They got a sense of humor.
he's got a lot of YouTube things, where videos he's taken, like when we heard him, you can hear him pushing a tree over. But when you were there, it was a little different, because it's like, what? It's kind of.
Oh, that reminds me though, and we'll see that in a second, because he came with me to Skokomish. And that night, I have a recorder, I leave it on all night. A little after midnight, I heard a tree go down, right? We heard 2 go down. We heard one in the afternoon, remember? And then I put the recorder on, and I heard one after midnight, and it's not on there. And it was loud. It makes no sense whatsoever.
They didn't want you to have it.
I think it was them showing me that, I actually think they may have injected it in my head. It sounded exactly the same as the tree we heard earlier. So maybe they captured that sound, and I don't know what they do. That's the thing. That's why I'm still curious about it. Because they do these things, and I wonder, how do they do these things? And who's doing it? Is it just them? Because, we're seeing UFOs too. And I know I've been taken. I asked them and they showed it to me. Showed me that I've been taken. So it could be ET or it could be elementals. I'm not exactly sure what's going
went
on.
to a campground one time, and when we got there, they were screaming from the woods from us, so we knew what they sounded like, so it wasn't like a shock to us or anything, but just weird stuff. Like
This has happened at least twice when I've been with you.
Yeah.
One time was up at our lake, and they called to us from 3 different directions. But there was one, the first one we heard, remember, was very close, and there was a Chinese or Japanese family right there, Asian family, and I asked them, did you hear the Sasquatch? And they went, no. I'm thinking, okay, well, it was loud. You couldn't hear that. But see, people don't recognize it. It just sounded like a bird to them or some weird animal. They don't know, they're foreign. But even here, people, even here, Americans, don't know these things either, because we were at Snag Lake, and I made a call across the lake, and on the other side of the lake was a family. And they called back from the other side of the family. Family ignored it, both calls. They just ignored him. Kids were playing, he was fishing. So they don't recognize this stuff, you know? So a lot of this stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, I mentioned it to him, those people heard Sasquatch. They'll go the rest of their life not knowing that they heard Sasquatch. But anyway.
And another time we went up with my kid, you know, and then they went ahead of us, and just as a joke, I went whoo like that, you know, and then Sasquatches in the woods. These littler ones started whooping back at us, and they chased us all the way down the trail, and then we were down there, and then me and him were talking.
They didn't chase us, they followed us.
Yeah.
They were shouting.
But you can hear the
I
mother,
knew they were coming.
You
I
can
knew they
hear
were
the
there.
mother trying to quiet them down. And this whole thing's weird because it's happening. It's like real life, you know. It's not like.
Yeah.
And then my daughter
Yeah,
saw
that was at
one.
that same spot.
Yeah, but my daughter saw one. She said it looked kind of like an Ewok, but it was kind of a red hair over there by Quinault. I think that's the place.
She saw it over our shoulders. We had her back to it. But anyway,
Very cool.
yeah. So the first thing you're gonna see is him sitting at that campground in Skokomish, where you heard him, and you're gonna hear him call right after that, and that's what he heard. You're probably sitting in that same chair, in that same spot.
That's the same spot where they came running at me that night too.
Yeah,
not there.
that's right.
Just the-
That's right. Oh yeah, you guys talk about that for sure. So the sound should be coming up here in a second. And there's Russell, and this is just outside the campground, not far away. We use their facilities. We use their bathrooms. We drive down and use their bathrooms, you know. Nice, kind of sweet.
Not the soft.
That was at Lewis County Park, which I highly recommend. We heard them there. I want to back this up for just a second, because I want to show you this. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Lewis County Park. There's a campground there. It's not too far from Chehalis. It's sort of, you know, east of I-5. On Jackson Highway. That's where it is. It's on the Jackson Highway, somewhat close to the Jackson cabin. And that's where this old growth is. They got a big, huge patch of old growth. It's beautiful. And when I was out there, I heard some knocks and some weird things, and I went back and I told them, I think they might be here. Because I heard some stuff, and that night, sure enough, they'll, you know, that call. Oh God, it was awesome. But anyway, so that's at Lewis County Park, and you might check that out. They got beautiful trails, nice places to camp. Go on a weekend, you better make reservations. I'm just gonna let this play now, because this is gonna be, okay, this is at Iron Creek campground. We heard one there too, but it was across the river. It just went home. And it was right about across from where I'm sitting, right there, in fact, where he called from. That was that the Sismus River?
I don't know.
I think so.
All the woods look the same to me after a while.
And you're just looking at the woods.
Yeah.
Oh, this is boring, man. It's all-
I know.
Oh, wait a minute. So this is at near Sismus River. We found that. And then this.
Oh, yeah. we
This is
found
near
it.
Raymond. And so, this is a place where, I'm gonna stop for a second, because this is a place where I went down and I found some tracks of Big Red, and he's a big one. I mean, he's like, he's 9 foot plus. I'm not sure. I didn't get close enough to him to get my measuring tape out. But he's huge, and V-shaped and huge. The shoulders are just so big and massive. It's just this part here is just so big, I couldn't believe it. But anyway, I saw him 2 miles away, or over a mile away at first, and just walked towards him. And I'm not even sure what my fucking point was now. Oh, so I said that.
Here.
We're rocking.
I taught him that word.
I was a sailor too. Okay. Here we got some vocals now.
maybe.
Where's this at?
Let's go. Call me.
Well, we're not getting any vocals, are we?
I think you use the remote control again.
Yeah. I'll back it up. Well, it's up all the way.
It's not on mute, is it?
TV's not on mute.
Your HP, your laptop might be muted. There might be a mute button.
No, it's off. I was working earlier.
Oh, it's down
It's
in the
down
lower
on the
corner
left
there?
Yeah, it's,
See it?
It's all on. There you go.
I don't know how that happened. Now we gotta back it all the way up. I'm glad you people are very patient. Thank you.
We have it happen too.
Okay, here we go. We're gonna roll through these, but aren't those beautiful trees? Those are very ancient. I'm a tree lover, occasionally.
that was the place where they screamed at us, where that picture was taken.
Yeah.
You got a recording?
That one,
No.
no.
We
Because
just got
I
there.
recorded it, but there was a river there. Too much noise. So I exited. We get so many, we don't need to keep the bad ones.
Right.
Yeah, so this spot right here,
We just backed into that spot and I looked out and I was like, what?
yeah, but I've seen his trails down there, and at one time he made calm water go turbulent for me. Crazy, no wind, dead silent, and it's bubbling. Okay, here we go. So you see my tent where it was? They were above my head. They stayed back there where I couldn't see them. The older, the deeper sounding one, that's adult. The high pitched one is a young male. And I had a back and forth with him for over 20 minutes earlier in the afternoon. It's so fun.
I always stopped doing the scream thing because in a way it seems like it makes them mad.
I didn't know I put you in there twice. But I edited this thing yesterday, so it's really not very good.
Well, I wish
I
I
just
would have
tossed it together. Which what?
I said, I wish I would have tied my shoe.
Too late.
Oh,
I know.
yeah. I would have cut that out if I remember that.
I know.
Put a little thing there. I think this is so cool. I think they did this years ago. This is the teddy bear clan. I just really, sometimes they do that, you know, they form these. Okay, that's a beaver thing, beaver dam. Yeah, so we were talking about that. They read your energy. I think that's how they choose people. That's why some people don't have any. You know, I was talking to Joe Hauser, and he says that there's people that'll pay the full price for a tour of that Montana Vortex. They'll get to the first exhibit, they'll turn around, they'll go back to their car, they won't say a thing, get in their car and leave. Something kicked them out.
I like your corn music you picked.
This is something I wrote for a musical. It's an ad-lib thing. It's called Fairy Dust. These two guys, and actually they're under the influence of ultrasound in the musical. But they're dancing with fairies and stuff. Okay, now this is pretty interesting. Now, I want to say something about this first before we go any further.
The
So,
Becko clan.
yeah, so the Beckel clan, he was talking about the one way in to the Beckel clan, they're right, let's see, where are we?
You take a right.
Yep, it's right up here. You take a right up here, and it's over this way. That was our first clan. So we went up there to visit that spot, and this is what we found. They put this tree here. And as it plays, I'm gonna explain, they did not drag it. I say they drug it, but they didn't drag it because there's no drag marks. They lifted it and brought it there.
And you couldn't drive around it.
It's 75 yards away from where it was uprooted.
It was drug up here.
But this was the road that had been blocked off for 3 years and that guy ran into the talking one.
That's the only assumption I can make. I mean, there's no other way it made it up here. I talked to my logger friend next door and asked him, would the logging company do that? And he says, oh, there's no reason for them to do that. They're clearing roads. They're not blocking them with trees like this. This is not the way they do it. They block with gates and cement blocks and stuff like that. Sometimes with large debris, but then they build berms. This was not done by the logging company.
I don't know what that thing that just went by was.
You can see it's
I noticed that before.
rather substantial in size. And judging by the shape of the needles, I would say it's been just a few months or weeks maybe.
See, there's no drag marks.
Now, this is where it came from. It was falling back there. You can see where the stump was. You can see a root sticking out. And then it was drug. It was drug up, or I mean across and onto the road. And you're gonna think that that's the root way up there.
And you don't see any drag marks.
That's
They
amazing.
carried it.
By the way, I heard something a few minutes ago. Something moved over there, but it could have been any kind of animal.
So this is a series of, by the way, this is one after another. I just put these short ones, I just stuck them together.
It sounds like a creepy porno. I'm sorry.
Well, I could change the production a little bit. That's at the Sasquatch River, but this is back home near Raymond. And, yeah, so I've had a lot of.
It's on now. This is a place where I found prints before. It's also near an area where they made the water, still water turbulent.
I forgot I said that.
Somehow, while I was watching it. This is Big Red's territory, the one I call Big Red. And we just found this structure. I found other structures that I think is juvenile kids build, a dome and a teepee. And this is just, basically I think this is for us to find. Because they know we would think it was cool. But maybe they played
See,
in
there's
it.
still a green one.
It's possible. You see Russell Wilson back there.
You gotta come down here, you're not gonna believe what I'm looking at.
Okay, I'll get it. Well, here we go. We're gonna see what he's so excited about.
Some guy said there was a
Wow, look at this. You can see
Sasquatch
this was
sculpted
rubbed
on
in.
there, but I don't see it.
Ooh, very slick here. Muddy. Oh, this thing. Oh, wow, yeah.
Get here. Wait till you get here.
Okay, I'm coming.
This is where
I'm
they're
coming.
staying.
Wow. I didn't know this was here. I've been here many times.
Well, it doesn't look like that until you come down here.
Well, I always go down that other way, so I missed this, I guess. Come up this way before we go. It's amazing. This is, let's see if they'll adjust the light in here. But, wow, what a place to sleep. You could sleep in this. And you could actually look for hair samples in case there is some around. I got my sunglasses on, so I
We
can't
We
see
never
very
do
well.
that.
I know, we don't
Right
go.
now,
We did the other day, I looked a little bit, but I'm not really that serious about that stuff. I don't care.
I knew this pond would be frozen over because it's kind of in the shade most of the day. In the summer, of course, it gets more sun. But wow, it's just gorgeous. A lot of times you'll see a great blue heron sitting in there. I guess the tadpoles mostly.
This is down by a series of beaver
This is
ponds.
gorgeous.
They go for
It's
over a mile and a half.
with the ice on it. Ooh, what's that?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Like I said, I did a quick job of editing. There we go.
You've heard of TVs being read. I'm gonna read this ice pond. All right. I see an elephant. You can't see it, but you can hear it.
Wait, put that camera on there. I was gonna do that.
One of the beaver dams on the other side there. Pretty substantial sounding little waterfall.
So one day I was walking along here and there's a warehouse gate at the end of this road. It got rattled. There was nobody out there. It was absolutely calm day, beautiful day. Someone rattled that gate. I actually had my camera, my still camera, on camera mode, so I was filming it at the time, but it didn't pick it up on the audio, so that's the way it goes most of the time. I think that's it, isn't it?
No tracks.
No, yeah, that's right, we got tracks coming up. And that's another gap. Oh, there you go. Good.
So stick your foot next to it.
Holy shit!
Now, see how far that stride is between there.
And I got big feet.
Yeah.
You can see, in a straight line.
And here's a little one.
In a straight line there.
And this kid, this is one of the kids, I know. Here's running. And then there's another one over here. There's another one here that was running as well. And, no, it's not, because, look how spread out they are. I mean, maybe a human was running along there, but he's walking with his mom. He's actually running. And I know why they left the prints here, is because this is where I saw Big Red. This is where I saw Big Red, right here. And he was just meandering around, and I was way down there, walking towards him. And I watched him for over 10 minutes as I'm walking towards him, and then he took off and, no doubt, I don't know, went across the river or something and disappeared. But this is the tree right here. You can see the bare patch is still visible a little bit. Not as visible as it was the other day, but that's where I had the marble heart. What do you got to say?
No terrible riches!
No what?
Just kidding, making fun of Melder.
Oh. Don't do that because we might be putting this somewhere.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna go. Because we couldn't have a terrible riches.
Yeah. Well, right, you can't catch them, can't see them, but actually you can kind of almost, I don't know, but yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah, look at that.
Making me dizzy.
Yeah, there you go, that's what I wanted you to do. So that's one, and
6'2".
then you can see straight as a line, straight as an arrow, that's the way they walk. That stride, that was the mother. It's not Big Red, it's too small to be Big Red. Big Red is huge. Yeah, Big Red is 9 foot. And this is where I saw Big Red, so I left him the tree, or the marble heart as a gift in that tree right there. And he was right there. And it was just the other day I was thinking I'd like,
Yeah, no, it's, the other day I was thinking I'd like to see a print. That's what happens.
Okay.
Boom, boom, we see 2 sets of prints, right, back to back.
But
Oh, I
then
don't know what happened there.
with my
I
dad not telling a story, he had said, 2 weeks before he died, he said that, because he used to fish at Radar Lakes all the time, and he was fishing and one came down the hill smashing through the trees or whatever, and my dad just said, you know, if you want to share some of these fish I caught, I'd be happy to share them. But like, he wanted to tell me that story, and then me and him went to that spot. They were all over up there at Radar Lake, but he tells the story better than I do. But he was making calls, and there were people there, and they were calling back, and you could hear them talking in the woods. But this kind of stuff happens all the time. Hopefully it happens to you guys too. No? I don't know.
No. I'm awaiting.
Try the knock
Okay.
on the tree. I'm not a...
Something happened, I was a little too
I'm not
hasty when
professional
I
or
put this
anything.
together, because I didn't get the prints from
I'm thinking the bird sound.
Wainucci out here.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry,
That's
so
okay.
you'll have to look up, you know, a posting on at Wainucci, I guess, because I missed getting it on here. Well, that's what happened, we just put it all together yesterday, because, you
Yeah.
know, all this stuff we've been accumulating
I know,
so
you've
recently
been
that it couldn't keep up with it.
And he has a book for sale right here that we forgot last time.
Okay, very good. Excellent.
Yeah, that's right.
And I did everything.
Yeah, and this just goes up to 2020. August of 2020 is when I published this. But stuff, already some weird stuff started happening by then. So that's in here. And I'm still trying to figure it all out. They've guided me to, you know, it sounds weird, but they've guided me to study vortex fields and magnetism, mostly. And that leads to portals. And they gave me a number, and I think it's a frequency for opening portals, but I'm not sure. But, so, you know, that's what I'm kind of looking at and studying right now and trying to figure out. It's kind of weird. You never would think that Bigfoot would lead you to that, but that's what's happened. That's what's happened. So anyway, how about, maybe, can we ask for some questions, or
Yes,
do we have any
let's
more
ask for
stories? I know we got
questions.
more stories, but,
Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, question, you said Radar Lake,
Yeah.
right up by Duval?
no, this is up above Nacelle, and it's actually called Snag Lake.
Okay.
And they had a expedition there, and someone saw them, and
Yes.
you found prints and
Orbs.
structures, and you
Yes.
heard them.
Yes, or
So they're there.
the locals call it radar.
Yeah. I did a solo camp there last summer, and I asked them, I had just gotten through talking to, what's that? Pyle, Robert Pyle. I just got through talking to him, and I played him my vocals. And he goes, well, those are barred owls. And you could tell he was not gonna be swayed.
Right, right.
And so then that night, I went to Snag Lake and camped solo, and I sent out the word, I said, don't give me those vocals this time. I'm turning on my recorder, but how about doing something different? They whistled,
Yeah,
and they beat drums,
yeah.
because I beat a drum. You know, I played my guitar, beat a drum, and did some rattles. And so that's what they did.
So it's a really cool place. We've been up there a few times, and we've had what we believe are the forest people around us all night long in there.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a very mushy forest. It's very mossy and soft in there. And there were so many stick breaks and smacks and you name it all night long. And I'm like, there is no way this forest,
Yeah.
you can walk through this forest and it doesn't break many sticks in there.
Yeah.
You can hear them run by. We expected to see one look over the top of the tent because we let the rain fly off that one time. We've had great vocals in there. They've played percussion with their, along with us when we've been doing music. Right along with us. We have it on recorder.
Oh, okay. So that's the thing there.
Yeah, we've seen the orbs up there, a sighting in there.
We had the snow.
Oh, yes. the
Oh, yeah, that's something
smell.
We talked
We
about
forgot
that
to-
last night, but we've never really noticed a
We
smell.
don't always.
Yeah.
I think it's just a gland. or
Once, for
defense
definitely.
mechanism.
I had one time though, in the middle of winter, it's like January, like now, but frozen. You know, it's a frozen ocean up there. And I'm hiking up Smith Creek and a whirlwind hits me. Really weird whirlwind, and it had a fragrant flower smell to it. Just way out of season,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had something else to say too, I forgot. Dang.
Any other questions, thoughts, comments? Yes.
Yes.
you?
You mentioned that you have carried for other animals in the woods, you firearm.
Firearm.
Oh, yeah, I carry bearings.
Okay. Do you notice any difference in the frequency or the relationship?
They know why I use
Carrying
it.
versus when you don't?
They know I use it. They know why it's
They
there.
know what you use it
They know
for.
why. We're telepathically connected.
Okay.
So, you know, I told them right from the start, this is for the bear, not you. And they know that.
What do? Do you tell them verbally when you get out of your truck or?
Either way.
Okay,
Right here.
right,
I don't have to tell them every time. They know now.
yeah.
You know,
But you're not actually carrying firearms, you're only carrying the bear spray.
bear spray, bear mace, yeah. Yeah. And I came across a cougar kill the other day. And for some reason, I didn't pull that bear mace right away. I gotta keep that in mind. As soon as I see something like that, that should have been out. Safety should
I
have
was
been
very
out.
proud of you for leaving immediately. I watched that and I was like.
I was tempted to get a little more,
Yeah, I know.
No.
but you know, it's not a good idea because they do
No.
protect their
Yes,
kills.
they do.
And
Yeah.
even if their kill is like they've already eaten and satisfied themselves,
They cover it up.
it will still
Yeah,
protect
they
that kill.
protect it and cover it.
So whenever I come to cross, because I do once in a while, come across a cougar kill, I leave it
Yeah,
as
yeah,
quick
yeah,
as
yeah.
possible.
Wear a mask backwards when you walk out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I was
right.
saying that the
Yeah.
other day.
That's right.
I think
Look
that
over your
work has
shoulder.
been proven to work.
Oh yeah. Well, I stopped. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that's a
Yes.
great idea.
What do you do?
No, because in Bangladesh, when tigers were
mask.
killing
Yeah.
Mask,
people,
though.
they figured that out. They
Oh, that's clever.
From behind.
Yeah.
What was that guy on the loan, where he did the stocking cap and put big eyeballs, he showed
Right.
the eyeballs
Yeah.
on the stocking cap.
Well, they have those masks with the cutouts, you know, that robbers used to wear, remember? Back in
Ski
the old
mask.
days.
I wouldn't be surprised though if they were telling that cougar,
Yeah,
do not attack.
right.
You know, they sent the cougar a message because they knew I was there. Because early on, before I heard the cougar, I heard them. But they were way off in the distance. I heard a couple whoops. And I thought, huh, you know, that's cool. But they're way off there. And then I heard something really close and it was, I'm pretty sure it was a cougar. It was upset because I was close to its kill.
Yeah.
So it was kind of verbalizing a little bit, you know, under its breath. And that, I heard that, but I had my recorder on, but you know, most of the time, stuff doesn't get on the recorder. For me,
those of you that haven't seen that video, you just posted that.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because you said you had seen prints that you
Yeah.
thought were cougar
yeah,
and fresh,
yeah,
but you proceeded anyway.
yeah. Well, they're really, well.
And then there's this big deer laying
A
there.
big deer laying there, and it was not all torn up. It was fresh.
Well, I see cougar
Freshly
prints
dead.
out there once in a while.
And so, I know, but I'm just saying, the secondary evidence.
I saw
always look
cougar
for
last summer.
secondary, yeah, yeah. Well, we've had them in camp before too.
Yeah,
It's not a good feeling.
yeah. I've actually had them chase a cougar away from my camp. I'm pretty sure they
Yes.
did.
Yes, we've had protection from
Yeah.
a Sasquatch, male, female,
Yeah.
in one of our
But
camps.
you gotta remember, they can't protect you every time.
I don't expect them to, but.
No. So you have to
I
protect
appreciate
yourself.
when they do.
And hopefully, you know, if you get in trouble, they'll come.
Yeah, so
But
they,
be careful.
oh yeah, we always are, but I think it's just just to be smart. If you go out in the woods, don't go alone, number one. Don't go by yourselves. Always have somebody with you.
Or something you can outrun.
And let somebody
Or
know where
someone you
you're.
can outrun. Yes,
Thanks, Sandy.
absolutely. And so, yeah, you take me, you can outrun me. But, you never know if you're gonna meet other human beings out there. That could be a problem. You
That
never
worries
know.
me more than anything.
That's why I used to carry
I'm
a
serious.
gun.
I get
Yeah.
much more nervous if I see a bear, no problem. You
Yeah.
know, if I see a human, I'm a
think
little
they'll
worried,
protect you
worried,
from-
especially when you're out in the middle of nowhere.
You
Yeah.
think
Oh,
they'll
yeah.
protect
You know?
you from that too?
Huh?
You think they will protect you from
I've read stories where they've protected people from other people.
other people?
hmm
Yeah,
And from other Sasquatch. But,
okay, sure.
yeah, there's this one lady, she was living alone and, befriended a Sasquatch that was coming and visiting her, and he told her, there's that connection. He told her, he says, I will always be here for you. Don't you worry.
Aw.
And one night she's in there, in her house, and she did have a gun. And I don't remember the details on that. But anyway, they started breaking into her house, and she said all he did was come to the end of the porch and stand there and stare at him. And they frickin' freaked out and left.
Good,
And yeah,
nice.
yeah,
That ought to do it.
yeah.
Yeah, I used to hike, before I got into Sasquatch, I used to hike all over Washington. And I would carry my little 45, I would.
Uh-huh.
And I had it in my little pack. And only one time did I ever, we were out, my hiking partner and I were out in the middle of nowhere, of course, you always are.
Yeah.
And I came across a guy, no pack, no nothing, he had a dog. And I'm like, it just gave me the creeps. He was watching us come down this hill and we had to go right by him. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. So I just unzipped my pack and put my hand inside my pack. And I told my friend, Jackie, I said, just get a move on. Keep your eyes in the back of your head and get a move on. We've got to get by this guy. Let's go. And so we just marched on by him, keeping an eye on him all the time, turning around.
Good for
But there
you.
was that one time
Yeah, did the
when
right
you
thing.
listen to your intuition, you have to listen to your intuition.
Very important.
Yeah,
I
we never
did.
spoke, but I kept my eyes on him and we'd glance over and make sure he wasn't following us and move on. And I just zipped it back up. But I don't carry it anymore in Sasquatch camp. I haven't carried since I've been out there in the forest by myself when I'm looking for Sasquatch. Why, I don't know, but I just haven't. And now with Kevin.
If I know they're around, I don't need the bear mace. I know that.
Yeah,
But they're not always around.
yeah, they're not always around. So actually, it's very interesting because when you said, I wish something wouldn't happen one time, just so we know it keeps you grounded. And I think it has a lot to do with the dynamic of the camp, the high vibration, absolutely. Where you are, either they're there or they're not. They might just be passing through an area. They're not always there. But I think your vibration is number one in bringing them to you, absolutely. And when we are in a camp, maybe it's new and we're just scouting, we won't have activity, or very little, if any. And it's like, well, okay, that's good. That keeps us grounded. That's how I look at
Yeah, most of the time when I go out alone, I don't have anything.
it. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, and then he joins me and then,
Well, look at that
I know.
vibration.
how can they resist that?
I know. We're just gonna bottle that up.
I'll sign anything. Who would want to have something signed by?
I gotta tell you though,
That's right.
I just love going out and playing music for them. I know they
We do that a
appreciate
lot.
that so much, they stopped taking my gifts.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they consider the music a gift. So I stopped taking gifts out to them because I'm thinking, well, you got my music,
Yeah.
And, every once in a while I get a gift. That Big Red, he gave me a white crystal. What he did was it broke over a young alder
Uh-huh.
and left it in the break.
Oh, how beautiful.
And yeah, the day after I saw him, I went up into the foothills, to look around, and there was a fresh break on an alder and a crystal. He knew I was gonna be up
Yeah.
there. So that's why I gave him that marble heart, because he gifted me, you know, and I thought, okay, I'll gift him that. But it took 3.5 years for them to take that heart.
It
But
takes time.
now I understand why. First of all, that's one of the ways they showed me that they're back. You know, they took that and they built that structure, and then of course, you know, we've been hearing them. So
So where do you think they go?
I'm not sure, but they were gone for like at least 2 years, just gone,
Huh.
COVID.
That's
possibly.
interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
They were gone so long.
Well, you know, sometimes like here in Olympics, there's 3 families that live around Wainuchi Lake, plus the loner, the white loner. He's up for.
And the grumpy one, the white one.
Yeah, he's up the river. Oh, who has?
Styrofoam, but,
That's right. That's like the refrigerator.
and then it was not there when we drove back, it's like, yeah, okay, that styrofoam's not there anymore.
Oh, yeah.
The
Bigger than a
refrigerator.
refrigerator, as big as a refrigerator.
So they have, I think I figured it out, it's like 350 miles, square miles of territory that they switch around. There's 3 valleys, Skokomish, Staircase, and Wainuchi. And there's these passes that go right through the Wainuchi Pass. You know, it's washed out for us, but they just walk through, you know. And so they move depending on where the resources are. And where were we, I guess yesterday or the day before when we were out in the snow? Yesterday. There was tracks everywhere in that one area, remember? There were just tons of them. Then we go to another place, and I didn't see any.
So you think one clan or one family group will move between this 350-mile
Not one of them.
radius?
They'll move together.
Oh, they all
They move together, yeah. Yeah, so they'll vacate Wainuchi, they'll go to Skokomish, and then there's the families over there. Well, they're pretty close to each other, you know, they like to sit
Yeah.
close to each other.
Oh, really? Okay.
And the thing with that, like even when I was trying to chase that one at one time, as far as they can go just by walking,
Yeah.
I mean, they can go a long ways away in
Yeah.
no time at all.
No
I
time at
think.
all.
So, I mean,
It's
that's-
amazing how much ground they can cover, isn't it?
So, okay, so I'm still back on the migration thing
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
So you don't believe that do you believe they migrate?
I think some
actually,
might,
seasonal
but not
migration?
these,
But
not these so
those.
much.
They just rotate.
I mean, maybe they go up high and go down, they chase
Mm-hmm.
the fish runs maybe, but
Right.
I don't think they go out of state or anything, they don't go to
Okay.
Canada or
Where do you
California
think they
or whatever.
live? Do you think they live in caves? Do you think they're just blend?
We knew where they lived in the spot, but we chose we would never try to
Yeah, so
go
I
into
really-
their territory.
that's
so
right,
we
but
just
they were
put it on
definitely-
us.
So it's
They
not
definitely-
a cave, it's a forest.
I don't
They
know.
have some sort of place
They
down
have.
below us on that first, well, actually the second one too.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure where Big Red's family hangs out, but I know where the first 2 hung out at.
Yeah.
And it was just, okay, I'll tell you, it's the north side of
You don't
the,
have to.
northeast side.
Good, yeah, good luck.
You got a wall like that on the northeast side of the mountain, that's protection from the storms. The storms come from the southwest generally. So that's where they are.
Okay.
So when they set up camp, the 2 that I know where they are,
Yeah.
that's where they are. They're on the northeast side,
Yeah.
in a crook where they got water right there. See, that's where the water
Right,
comes out, so
right.
they get as high as they can, where the water's the freshest. There you go. Keep that under your hat.
And I don't like it.
I'm recording.
I don't like it when people call them a monster because I've never seen them
No.
do anything angry. And every time you see that and they have a really mean face or whatever, I'm just like, that's not what happens. That's how I feel.
I got 3 minutes of recording time
left.
left. So, anyway, does anybody else have any questions? I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
I do.
did I interrupt you, Russell? Yes, Ken.
I want to step away from what Sandy said about being grounded here. So, you had said that you had either dreams or sensations of a number that you think was related to a
Yes.
frequency that is related to
Yeah.
opening portals.
Yeah.
Okay, if you were able to open a portal or portals, would you? Why or why not?
Yeah, I would, but I wouldn't go through it necessarily.
Why would you open it then?
Just out of curiosity, but you know, I'd probably want to do it where where they know I'm gonna do it. You know, like I was guided to, I know a demarcation line by my teacher, and that's where I experienced the Mandela effect, and that would be a place. You know, that's on the PowerPoint right there. So I know where a PowerPoint is. Montana Vortex, another place, you know, you just go there, and you create a standing wave. But the thing is you have this is what I've learned so far. The vortex is spinning, right? And so it's rotating at a certain pace. You know, it's about 2 hours for a circumference, 360-degree circumference. And, but it's connecting to another realm, and that time isn't the same. That time's going different. It could be slower, it could be faster. And so you got these two spinning cogs, right? Well, every once in a while, boom, they match up, and a portal will open spontaneously. And that's happened at the Montana Vortex, you know, where they get like, for instance, Joe's a wildlife expert, and they'll get some wildlife there that he goes, that's not right. And plus they're acting tame. You know, they're not afraid of humans. This is weird. You know, he's had experiences like that, but he's also, you know, seen little people and Sasquatch. There's Sasquatch, he says, he's owned it for about 20 years, and there's been 11 incidents during the day, full of tourists, when Sasquatches come through there. Come right through the vortex. And people, he says, come running in. There's a Sasquatch out there! There's a Bigfoot! There's a Bigfoot! You know, and he'll go out there and they'll be gone already. But he did see one once.
That's not a mistake.
It's not a mistake.
Yeah, when you said earlier they make mistakes, I don't think they make mistakes.
Well, no,
They
they
don't, well, this is just my thought,
Sure.
theory. I don't think that they make a mistake because they're much smarter than that.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be seen or found unless they want you to see or find them.
Yeah, that's.
And so, because truly, all my sightings have been during the day, and I've had some really good sightings of the forest people, and I don't believe that was a mistake. I think it was
Not for
deliberate.
us.
I asked them for something specific, and I clarified my detail. I learned to do that, and then they showed themselves to me. And
Yeah,
I
but
was-
every once in a while, you know, people even hit them, you know, with their cars. That's a mistake.
Well,
Something happened there.
yeah, I
You
don't
know,
know.
they
I
get
don't know if that's
distracted,
true. I
just
don't
like
know.
we do occasionally. And I think every once in a while, it's very rare, but every once in a while, they'll make a mistake.
Why would they make that mistake?
Well, nobody's
By a
perfect.
vehicle?
They're human,
Well, my
Well,
lesson.
they're only partially.
Your vehicle's putting
Humanoid.
out an EMF,
quite a bit human.
because your
99,
vehicle's
20.
putting out an EMF,
Plus.
okay, it's a vibration, electromagnetic energy.
Yeah, right.
It's all, so your vehicle will put that out there, so if somebody's hitting one, there's a possibility that, whereas assumptions, that is,
Right.
if a creature could put out an infrasound, it may be like using it also like a sonar situation, especially if it's in the evening and what have you. I know some things happen in the afternoon and stuff, at any time of day. But with your vehicle doing that, it may interfere with that bounce back, so that way they think the road is clear when it's not.
Oh,
So, I don't know, it's a speculation, it's
Right.
just something, you know,
That's
that there's a
interesting.
possibility for it.
yeah, that's really interesting.
So.
Good thought, yeah.
Well, a mistake that I saw though, what I meant by that was, one time I used to drive a truck, and we would go up there, you know, almost every, you know, every once in a while, and while he was doing his guitar and singing thing, I was doing the listening part, my knee just gave out, but I didn't know it was gonna happen, and then we watched one that was supposed to be watching us move, and we both saw it, and it was really tall, and by mistake, I just meant like, well, there it is.
No, I
They were
missed it
trying
because
to-
you
Yeah,
caught my attention when you tripped. And I looked at you, and then you saw him.
yeah.
And then you turned around like you're about to move, and then I heard him running away. Boom, boom, boom.
But the thing is I pulled it back in because we promised we would never bother the spot that they were watching us, and so it didn't matter that we'd seen it, and it wasn't like it was gonna be, oh man, I've seen a Sasquatch again, you know, or anything like that. But it was
Yeah,
just-
that's one thing I will say, they
Yeah.
respond to respect.
Yes, they do.
Give them
And
all the
I'm happy
respect
that
you
do
can.
respect that
Be-
boundary.
Yeah, because we tried to get their picture, because we did like all kinds of things, you know,
Yeah,
like I
know,
said,
we all have.
but,
Oh yeah, the first time we got anything, actually, the only time we got anything on one of those cameras, was a light shining down from above
Yeah.
for 22 minutes,
We
out in the
didn't
middle of
wanna
nowhere.
ta- Then we didn't want to talk
Shining down
about
like
that, 'cause it
that
would
from
ruin it.
different angles, like it was
Yeah.
trying to figure out what that thing is. Well, it was a
Right.
wildlife camera, right? 22 minutes. It wasn't a helicopter, no helicopter's gonna hover that long.
Yeah.
It was before drones, long before drones. So, what was it? Well, it was a few months later, we had a UFO fly over us, coming back from band practice from Elma. And so, I've seen several of those now. I never saw a UFO until I started having interaction with Sasquatch. And now, I can't even tell you how many UFOs I've seen. I was watching one, that's funny. We see this stuff so much. He's sitting there watching TV and I'm saying, oh, I see a UFO up there. He doesn't even get up and look. He never got it.
Nothing excites me anymore, you know.
I'm explaining what's going on. I said,
There and it's
look.
like, okay.
Look, it's a red flashing light, it's going left, it's going right, oh, it just zipped over there, disappeared, and came, I'm narrating, and he's just sitting there, yeah, that's good.
So do you think you hadn't seen a UFO before because you weren't looking? And now
Well,
that you are.
actually, I'm not so sure if I haven't seen one,
Yeah.
because I remember back when I was about 5, and I saw a wing fly over our house. I was in the backyard, and I was very familiar with aviation because my uncle was a pilot, my dad was a pilot, I'm a pilot now. And now I think that was not the flying wing, because I studied the flying wing, but it was at that time, in the 50s. And the flying wing never was over Portland, and I was in Portland, 162nd and Mill Street in Portland. And I looked up and I saw that fly over, and I probably mentioned it to my dad or mom, but I remember it very distinctly because it was low. Just came right over the treetops. We had a little bit of woods behind us.
So when you say a wing, what did it look
Yeah.
like?
Just V-shape,
A V shape?
yep, just like that.
Triangle. When was the TR-3B come into fruition, do you know? Do you remember that? I have to look it up again.
I'd have to look it up.
TR-3B?
Early 90s, it's old
So-
tech.
Oh, I thought it was.
I mean, it's still supposed to be non-existent, but it's still old tech.
It exists.
Like early, late 80s, early 90s.
Was it-
Yeah, and by the way, we're talking about, so this is some of the stuff I've learned, that I've been guided to, and I've learned it, and I've come up with my own ideas of how UFOs can move so well. And I think it all has to do with magnetism. And just like Sasquatch, they recognize all these fields. You know, it's like the whole universe is magnetic mediation everywhere. And they can see these fields, they recognize them and stuff. Well, these UFOs, I think they can utilize these fields or create a field in front of their vehicle, and then they create the middle of a magnet type. You know, you got the positive, the negative, and in the middle is where there's no time or space. It's called